Okay, so hello and welcome back to another Discord bot tutorial. And this one will be starting off a mini series where we create economy related commands. So we can have money, adding items, selling items, trading items, attacking other people in your server to get items off them, like having an economy system with maybe RPG mechanics. So you might have like questing involved of some kind. I don't know, you can extend this as far as you want, it's really up to you. But I'm going to be showing you this basics of setting up the database, like getting a user's items, setting up a user in the database when they join the server, and so on. So yeah, we'll get into that. I don't want to waste too much time on this video because I've already spent about 20 minutes recording this video and deleting it because I messed up, but I'm sure this time I won't because I've tested all the bugs and made sure everything's all fine and there's no problems. Because last time I did this kind of thing, it was with JavaScript, and with TypeScript there's a few other little things you've got to know and do to not get errors and let it actually compile. But it's fine because I've gone through the struggle of fixing all those things, so you don't have to now, but I will mention them as I go along, like what we have to do and why. So yeah, let's get into it. Before we get into it though, I want to thank my patrons, with special thanks to Michael, Remy Baldwin and Phil Baum for their generous donations on Patreon this month. If anyone else is able to help support the channel, then the link is in the description below. I also want to thank everyone that was in my live stream yesterday for checking it out, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll be doing another one within the next few days probably. I'll try and get another one or possibly two before I go back to school, because then when I go back I won't have time to do it until the summer holidays. But yeah, it was quite fun doing it, and I hope to do it again soon. But anyway, let's do this. I really don't want to take too long. It's not that complicated. I hope you guys don't find it too complicated, so I'm going to rush it, but not properly rush it, don't worry. I'm just not going to spend years explaining every little thing if you've already done it before with the bot. So first things first, import the package. The package is QuickDB. It's a simplification of using a database. If you actually know what SQL development is like, it's nothing like this, but this is like a very basic beginner's introduction to it, and it's much better than using just a JSON file to store your data. So we want to use npmi QuickDB. Now, I mean, I can do it just for the sake of it, but I've already got it installed, npmi QuickDB. Make sure it's quick.db. So that installs, yep, you've got it, cool, no vulnerabilities whatsoever. So what we need to do is make sure it's imported in our index file. So right at the top, import asterisk, or import all, that's what it means, as db from QuickDB. So now when we ever refer to the variable db, it's referring to our, quick database package. So what's the first job? The first job is when someone joins the server, add them to our database. And also, when we turn on the bot, loop through all the people in the server and make sure they're in the database. And that's just because we don't want a thing to happen where you've maybe got 100 people that have joined your server, they're all in the database. You might then decide to refresh your database for whatever reason. Something might have gone wrong. You might want to redesign it and just basically start afresh. And all those people already in your server won't be in it because they're not joining again. You don't want to have to make them all leave and rejoin. It'd be stupid. So maybe what you want to do is when you start up your bot, you want to loop through all the users in your server and make sure they're all in the database. And if anyone isn't, then you add them as a new user in the database. So that's going to be the first thing. So we want to do the loop when the bot turns on, and when someone joins, we just add them on their own. So the simple thing is just add a person. So the way to add a person to the database is to say, want to make sure first of all if they're in it or not. So if you want to know more about this, then if you go to the quickdb.js.org, it takes you to the documentation. You've got this here, which actually is on the page here, but you've also got documentation with even more explanation. For now, you can probably just get all the information off the front page anyway. So we want to do this db.set, which is literally just adding someone to the database. You pass in a string. My voice is dead from the live stream yesterday, sorry. I really should have got a drink ready for this video, but I'll power through. db.set, we pass in a string, user info. That's not actually a key. I mean, it technically is, but that's not a good key because someone else might have user info and it would conflict. We want a unique thing to put here, and a unique thing from Discord is the Discord ID. So quite easily we can just set the key as the Discord ID. And then in squiggly brackets afterwards, you put all of the default values. So maybe money 50 or money 0, it's up to you. Items, maybe you want them to have some initial items or nothing. So we're going to do that quickly. We're going to say if db.get, which is down here, and then we'll pass in their string. That'll tell you basically whether they exist or not in the thing. So if we say if is null, and you pass in the thing you're trying to check. So db.get, and the thing we're getting is a string, so it's member.id, right? So if is null, get the member ID, which quite simply will go and it'll run code in here if the person isn't in the database, if they're not in there. So if they're not in the database, then dv.set member.id, because member.id is the key we're going to use. And then the value, well, the value is going to be money colon 50 for me, and items colon empty array. They have an empty list of items to start off with. And that's what I want. It's up to you to set these, but that's what happens when someone joins. The reason why we have it in join is because, well, one, if someone joins, or the reason why we have the null check, sorry, because obviously you're going to have it on join, but the reason why we check if they're already in there or not is maybe someone was in your server and they left or something, they got kicked and they come back, and you don't want to reset their entire entry in the database. You want to probably keep them, so they could, just because it's on guild member add doesn't mean they're not already in it. You know, they might be in it, they might not. So this is a good check. So I'm going to copy this, and we're going to use it up here. When we turn on the bot, we're going to loop through everyone in the server and make sure they're in there. So first of all, we need to get a list of all the users that the bot knows about. So we're going to say let all users equal client dot users dot array, and it's a function that just turns this, which is of type Discord collection string comma Discord user. That's just a dictionary basically of string and Discord user. We're going to turn it into an array so we can actually access the values and loop through it easier. So now we're going to say for let I equal 0, while I is less than all users dot length I plus plus, just a normal for loop. And then we're going to say every time we go through it, we're basically going to run this code. So we're going to say if is null, db.get, and instead of member.id, it's all users I.id. If that person doesn't exist, then all users I.id is the thing we're going to set. So when we start up the bot, go through everyone in the server and make sure they're in the list. Technically, this will also add the bot to the array, which isn't a problem. There's no reason to hard code something in to say don't include the bot. There's no harm in having the bot there. The bot has a ID, you know, it's just like a user in that sense, so it's fine. Let's run the bot and see what happens. So Control-Shift-B, build, and run. Notice how just from me running the bot, there is an SQL.SQLite file, and if I press open it anyway, it looks all weird, encrypted and weird and whatever. But if you go right to the end, you can actually make some of it out in English. We've got over here 2 users. We've got this one, and over here we've got another one. So if you actually quickly go to the server, so Dapperdyne, this is my ID, and this is the bot's ID. So the bot's is 555, and mine's 191. So you look here, we've got 191, and if you look over here, we've got 555. So it's actually added me and the bot to the thing. So that's cool. We exist now, basically. That's the whole point. That's the code we've done so far is make us exist in the database. But now we want to actually, also I can do comments later if I need to. We want to write commands. So the first one I'm going to do is money. Now I've made a money and an add item command. There's no code in there yet, but I've made them. I mean, I'm going to put the quick DB imports in because we're going to be referencing it. But yeah, there's no code in here. I've just changed the description to be displays in money and displays items, adds item, whatever. Let's do the money one first. So all we want to do is a user does a command like $money, and we tell them in an embed that's green and nice looking, I don't know, how much money they've got. So we want to say, first of all, message object.delete 0, just to clean up the message. And then we want to say let money embed equal new discord.rich embed, and then the title will be the user's name and then how much. So the title will just say message object .author.username apostrophe s money. So it's that person's money, and then we say set title, sorry, and then set color. We can pass in 0, 200, 0. I want it to be green, but not too green. So that's in RGB, red, green, blue. So it's 0 red, a lot of green, no blue. And then we say dot set description, and we can say how much gold they have. So it can say, well, inside there we need to put the actual gold amount. So for now I'll just put 50 hard-coded, but I'm obviously going to put a variable there. And then I can just put gold after it. Maybe you want silver, gold, and bronze as a currency. I don't know how you want to do it. It's up to you guys. So, and then after we've done that, I want to say message object dot channel dot send the money embed, and dot then when it's done, we want to send. What do we want to do with the message when it's sent? We want to say message as discord dot message dot delete 5,000. So after 5 seconds. If you notice, this is the exact same. Whoa, what have I just pressed? that's the exact same code as we've used in like ban here, for example. When we do that, technically we also do dot catch console.error. I guess we might as well do that just to be extra sure. Dot catch console.error. I'm just wondering, did I? Yeah, okay. I did it the same way, so it's fine. But the thing is, we actually want to set this variable. We want to say 50, because what if they have 100, you know? We want to get the value. So we're just going to say let money amount equal db.get, and we want to pass in the key, which is message object.author.id. That's the key, but it's their money value. So if you look here, if you want to access a particular thing, you do the string of blah blah dot the thing. So we want to say their ID dot money, and that's going to return the money as an integer or a float, just as a number basically. And we want to use this money amount instead of the 50 here. That's the variable we're going to replace it with, and that's highlighted now. Well, it's not grayed out because we're actually using it. So we were saying, hey, go get that person's money and shove it into this embed, and then delete the embed after 5 seconds. So if you build that now, making sure you've added the money command to your config file so that it's part of the commands list, otherwise it's not going to get picked up. If we run the bot now, and I go and say money, I actually get an embed saying Dapper money, 50 gold, and then it goes away. Pop. Cool. And I can say purge to get rid of these two messages because I'm lazy. I mean, might as well make the most out of the bot, don't we? And then now we're going to go make the add item command. So add item, make sure you've got it in your config before you compile it and tell me there's problems with it. It's just probably because you missed it off the commands list. So what you want to do is you want to say message object.delete to clean it up. Get rid of your own command message. I don't like having those staying around. And then we want to get back a list of items. So I can say let user items equal db.get, the key being message object dot author.id dot items. The thing is, this is going to return back an object, and we need to be able to tell TypeScript what it's going to be like. Now we know it's going to be a list of items, but it doesn't have a clue. Currently, if you mouse over this, it's going to say any. Obviously that's a problem, because if we now go and we want to just say, for example, after we've got this list of items, we just want to log it or something, we want to just log their items, we'll say like message object.channel.send user items. That's just going to be an object. It's just literally not my voice just went there. It's not going to tell us anything other than just object. It's just going to say the word object, 'cause it doesn't know how to send it, and we can't say dot items or dot anything because, for example, it doesn't know that these certain things exist on it, because when you get back a certain thing, like it says it's going to work here, but the problem is, right, if we, for example, say db.push is a function which you put in the key, so just like this, items is what we're pushing to, right? We're pushing to the items, and what do we want to push? We want to push args. Oh no, we want to put like new item. So we have to say what new item is. Well, the new item that we're pushing, new item, is args.join with a space. But we have to make sure actually that args is even, like, it has a thing in it. So if args.length is less than 1, return. So let's just go through this quickly. Delete our own message, make sure there's an argument, like anything after the command word, join all those things together. So like, for example, if you put like big box, it would actually treat big box as an item. We then push that to the database. Now, see, the reason we're not getting an error now with like, oh, let's send thingy.items, even though items, it doesn't know what it is because when we use db.get, we get back an any data type. Now with any, you're actually allowed to write code that TypeScript doesn't really know about. But if we used db.push, push knows that it's a list. So if you actually put like let items equal db.push, this thing you get back is an any array, which is slightly different to an any because it's an array of any's. Now any is like just a data type that it doesn't know what it is. You know, it could be anything. So this method does work the way we've got it right now. The only problem is the point in using TypeScript is you be explicit about what stuff is. Now, technically, you don't have to do that, but then there's no point in using TypeScript and you're kind of missing the advantages. For example, if we mistype this word items, we're going to get error saying, oh, that thing doesn't exist. We would rather know when coding that we've typed it wrong than run it and have it not work. We would rather have it not work now and work when we actually run it than the opposite. So what we can do to get around this is, first of all, we can we don't have to say user items as db.get that. We don't have to do that because one nice thing is when you use db.push, you actually get back the updated list. So when we add this new item, user items is actually all of the items, even with the new one on. So we want to say user items.items, but items doesn't exist on an any array. So what you actually have to do for this to work is you have to create your own model, which is a way of explaining how data works. So I have made this already, just to it's really easy to show you. What we're basically saying here is we've got a class called items model, which we can import, that uses this interface. And what this is saying is anything that is an item model has an array of a string array called items. Quite simple. And just from writing this code, what we can actually do is we can go, just here it is, you guys can copy and paste this or just write it. If you actually had like an item slot, for example, an item slot might have a list of items and it might have a quantity, for example. We're going to add quantities and stuff in an upcoming video, in the next one probably. For now, we'll just say an item. When we get data back on items, it's just a list of items, quite simply, just a list of strings, the item names. When we go over here, we want to actually store this variable rather than as an any array. We want to store it as a what was the thing called? Item model. If you don't have it imported and you type that, it actually imports it for you, which is pretty handy. Now it's telling you, oh, you can't convert, that. So what we actually need to do is we need to just say this as any. So if we treat the data we get back as any, but we tell TypeScript it's going to be of type item, like we know it's going to be of type items model, so we're telling that. And then now, when you refer to user items, it tells you on IntelliSense the only property it actually has is items, which is a string array, which is what we've said over here. Oh, well, back in the model thing. So what I've done is I've simply just made, for organization's sake, a folder called models. And we've got item model, and we'll add more in the future. And that lets us say, send the items of, I could put user inventory, and whatever, it's up to you to name it. But now, if you've made sure it's in your config file as a command, and we run this, and we do that, and we go to the bot. If I do !add item book, I get back book. All right. Then I do add item sword. I've got book sword. Add item. Keep in mind that first book is a different message. That's a different message. And then so on. That's its own message. Add item shield. I've got book, sword, and shield. So there we go. We've got a string array that we're printing. We're sending all the items in array to the user. Now, if we actually go to the database thing and go all the way over to the end, you can see the bot has 50 money and 50 gold, no items. What do I have? I have 50 gold, a book, a sword, and a shield. So that's it for this video, to be honest. I tried to keep it short-ish compared to the other video, so it's 20 minutes and I've done now. As I said, in the upcoming videos, we're going to add a buying command. We're going to add more data to our items, quantities, displaying your inventory to everyone else and like trading items and so on. So you could put like you can look at someone else's inventory, see what they have and how much it costs, and then maybe request a trade from them, and the bot might DM the person saying, hey, this user wishes to trade with you. So we can do all that, but I hope you enjoy this series. If you do, then share it with your friends, leave a like and subscribe, it'd mean a lot. Help me on Patreon if you wish to do so. But apart from that, thanks for watching, and goodbye.